Critical for the quote process, as we've made mention before, is the application and submission package. We're going to kind of consolidate a lot of things we've said before right now. But underwriters, remember, we've said before, underwriters will tell you they decline perhaps 75% of all the applications they get in. So you're really competing for the attention of the underwriter, number one. Number two, underwriters will tell you the vast overwhelming majority of applications they get, for a number of reasons we've talked about, are really just bare bones. They're the base application, the facts and figures, and then loss runs. And because insurance pricing is so subjective, number one, and because it's so fluid and you need to persuade underwriters to give you better pricing, and number two, because you are competing with other businesses for the attention of that underwriter, it makes sense to have a very compelling application and submission package that includes lots of arguments on your behalf. And we'll go over the arguments here in a second. Remember that there's a conflict of interest in any arena, any industry, in terms of the amount of work that you do for the amount of money that you make. And so brokers have an interest in not doing as much work as possible for the money that they make, because that's how you maximize income. And so a lot of brokers do the right thing. A lot of good brokers actually do the right work for the client. But there's an incentive there for some brokers, especially when the client trusts them to be the only broker that's bidding, to cut corners and not do great work. And remember, underwriters report overwhelmingly a majority of the applications do not contain compelling arguments. So what we suggest you do is, first, if you're committed to working with one broker, we ask that broker to see the application and submission package and review it with them. They're going to be reluctant to give you a copy, but if they've done good work, they'll be very proud to sit down with you and show you what that work is and show you the arguments they've made on your behalf. If you're not comfortable that they've done the right job, what you want to include in that submission and application package are exposure arguments, detailed written exposure arguments that argue that your risk of loss is less than it would seem to be for a business in your industry. And we'll go over that in a second. And also arguments on losses. Talking about exposure arguments, there are literally hundreds of exposure arguments that you can make on your behalf. They can be anything from the fact that compared to the average business in your industry similar to yours, you may have more experienced employees who've been on the job longer, who know their job better, and are less likely to make mistakes or get injured. You may have better training programs, which need to be elaborated for the underwriters in terms of the extent of the training, the type of training, the topics you go over, the frequency, etc. You might have less turnover. And having less turnover, again, you're less likely to have claims. You might have good medical benefits that are accepted by most of the employees. And studies show that when you have more employees that have health insurance, they're less likely to bring fraudulent workers' compensation claims. There are literally hundreds of arguments. And of course, there are a lot of arguments specific to your industry that I'm not touching on right now. Literally hundreds of arguments that can be made on your behalf to distinguish you compared to another similar business in your industry. And that's who you're competing with. The underwriters start with base rates for the industry, and then they work upwards or downwards depending how they feel about your business. So those arguments we believe should be in writing. Now, when it comes to loss arguments, you can download off of the website in the section titled Workers' Compensation. You can download a list of literally hundreds of arguments you can make with regard to losses. But the underwriters are going to look at your losses historically, and they're going to make judgments again about your business in terms of establishing pricing going forward. And so to the extent you can convince the underwriter that past losses aren't going to recur again, something changed in your operation and those losses absolutely positively will not happen again, you can help the underwriter lower your pricing. One quick example, let's say that you discontinued a particular operation in your business and that operation caused a large claim that you had in the past. Well, that's a compelling argument for an underwriter. Again, you can download on the workers' compensation section of our website a list of 100 arguments that you can potentially make for your to argue away your losses. And we're going to have many other videos under the workers' compensation section that you can watch where we explain exactly what those arguments are and how they might work on your behalf.